All right, recently there was a robbery in BGC in the Philippines. So we're going to get into it because this video was sent to me by one of my subscribers. So let's see what we have here.
All right, my friends, welcome back to the channel. I'm Brian, and in today's video, we need to talk about a sad state of affairs that's going on because within the last 4 months, I have now been assaulted twice by gangs of young teenage boys traveling in packs, attempting to rob me while begging for money in Bonifacio Global City, BGC, Metro Manila, here in the Philippines. And foreigners like myself, we are the perfect target. I'm often out walking daily, all right? I'm tall, so I stick out in a crowd. I'm usually walking alone, right? And I'm usually not with a Filipina who would actually discourage that kind of behavior through somebody coming up to us. And I'm a Western foreigner. So all of this makes me a target. I stick out like a sore thumb in a crowd, and it's what it is. Now, on this channel, I often focus on my positive experiences.
I'm going to say one thing about sticking out. It doesn't matter how you dress or what you look like. Everyone's going to be able to tell that you're a foreigner, obviously, but we're all targets. And since we're all targets, we have to be more vigilant at all times because not everyone has our best interests when it comes to just walking around or, touring the place. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Be very vigilant and be kind of paranoid.
As I've lived and traveled abroad, mostly because when I run into small little annoying everyday issues that kind of just pop up, they're not a big deal. They're usually not a big deal. But things are changing and I need to present that to you. So my intention here is not to complain or to disparage any one group, any city, any town, or any region. Rather, I want to provide you with the most accurate experiences so you are aware of some of the current challenges that I have experienced here recently, and you can make decisions about your own travel as necessary. Having lived now in the Philippines for 2.5 years, traveling and exploring in the northern part of Luzon on my motorcycle, and having now lived in BGC for the last 1.5 years, I can honestly say that I've noticed a change in this area, especially within the last 6 months. There has been a significant shift in this area, and I don't understand why. Okay, there is a significant increased amount of vagrants and beggars that are allowed to be within the BGC area. All right, and this is the crazy part. I have lived throughout Metro Manila. I've lived in Mandaluyong, I've lived in Pasig, I've lived in Quezon City, and I have never felt uncomfortable or have had to deal with anyone putting their hands on me, grabbing me, any kind of attempted robberies or anything like that, right? Yet now there appears to be an increase in these small groups of teenage gangs, these kids kind of running around causing issues within areas like BGC.
I want to say one thing. I've also noticed the same exact thing. Walking to BGC, I have noticed that there's more beggars, more people that seem to be a little bit having some episodes, whatever. Now, I'm not trying to sit here and criticize or generalize anybody. I'm just telling what I observe from just walking around. But the one thing I always do anytime I'm walking by myself is avoid everyone, ignore everyone, and pay no one attention. And I walk really fast. So that's one of the things that I do to keep myself safe is to watch people. I don't go down alleys where there's lots of people. I always go around because look, I can be paranoid, and I like to just make sure to eliminate as many possible chances of having issues or problems. Now, I have one time I slipped up in Intramuros. I was walking out of a lounge and I was just wanting to walk down the street to go to see this new bar. And as soon as I step out, this one person comes out and coerced me to ride in this little tri-bike thing. And he tried to say that it's not allowed to walk out here at night, something about a holiday. And in my mind, I was tired and I just wanted to relax. I was going through stress and I was like trying, in my mind, I've been living here for so long that I've been so accustomed to just following rules and laws and just doing what I'm told, which is, not very me. And I, when I heard that it's not allowed, when I hear something like that, I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to break rules or I'm going to get in trouble, because I have run into issues with police over just small little incidents about what you're not allowed to do. And then in that moment, I just thought, okay, then I'll just take a ride. And I was like, in my mind, there's common sense. I should have had common sense in this instance, that seeing these, people that were leaving the same place as I was leaving, walking down the street. I'm like, why are they walking down the street, but it's not allowed for me? And then at that moment, I realized that I was a target. This guy took me to some sketchy neighborhoods. There were so many chances I could have been robbed. I was taken like in some alleyways. This dude went the long way instead of the short way to, that was 10 minutes, a 10-minute walk for me. And this guy had the nerve to try to charge me 10,000 pesos. 10,000 pesos. And the funny thing is, the area that we were in, there were like tents and people sleeping outside. We were in the worst area ever. But I did argue, but I was able to negotiate just giving the guy 300 pesos to leave me alone, because he tried to sit here and justify it by saying, oh, that I'm special, and it's 1,000 pesos per person. And I'm like, what? And then somehow that equips to 10,000 pesos. And I was like, I'm not paying you 10,000 pesos. That is ridiculous. So I talked him down to 300, and I was able to go to where I was going, and I was able to get home safely. I decided to just take a Grab or a bike, and I was like, man, this shit could have got worse. But now I know that anytime a local comes to you trying to coerce you, trying to tell you, oh, it's not allowed, I'm just gonna be like, just leave me the fuck alone. Not listening to anyone. See, I've been learning an important thing, to not listen to people, because there's always a chance that they're going to coerce you into something. They're going to scam you. They're going to find some way to rob you or wrong you. And that's the part where you have to be extremely vigilant, because even if you're just going to a regular place of business, I was in a college town, a place where college kids go to just hang out, listen to music, smoke shisha, and then go home. And then these scammers, these people, they still find a way. They still find a way to get you, no matter if you're with a crowd. So that's just my experience. So sorry to ramble.
And all you need to do is go Google it, and you'll see that this is becoming a problem. Now, I have personally loved living and exploring the Philippines. I love being here, right? That's why I'm here, to travel around, explore, and see if this is a place I want to consider as a permanent place to retire. But some of these areas now are becoming less desirable, and that's really sad. So what actually happened here? Well, just the other day, on the main sidewalk of McKinley Parkway between Market and SM Aura, on that sidewalk, I have highlighted here this area in the yellow, on Thursday evening, February 5th at 5:30 p.m. Yes, right in the evening. This is during the day, while the streets and sidewalks were filled with professionals leaving work. I was assaulted by 3 young beggar boys, and I would estimate their age to be somewhere between like the 12, 13, 14-year-old. All right, there was 3 of them, and I noticed 2 of them weren't wearing shoes. They all had really long, dirty, long, oversized t-shirts. It's kind of common, you'll see here. All right, now there were other Filipinos on the sidewalk with me, yet because again I was the foreigner, I was the target. I saw this happen directly. They were way down in front of me. One of them turned around, saw me, tapped his friends, and said, hey, 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 and they all spun around, kind of stepped behind sort of a tree area, waited a bit, and as me and the crowd got there, they all of a sudden, boom, came basically right onto me, okay? Now, within seconds...
Oh, hell no, bro. Oh, my God. They locked onto you. This is... Okay. This happened last week, the 5th of February this month. Yeah, I can't get, I don't, know what advice I could give to someone at that point, but because I'm so paranoid, and whenever I notice that someone is following me or something unusual pattern with people, because I'm super paranoid living here, I take alternate routes. I I do all kinds of weird patterns and stuff just to get away from these people, or not these people, but just get away from certain individuals. And if I notice kids, I avoid kids at all times. I avoid children because there is almost every time there is no good intentions. There is nothing good that's going to come your way. If any kids approach you, and I'm sorry, but every time the kids approach you, it's either begging for money or trying to bait you into something, and you just have to just no, go away, go away. And I hate to be mean and an a-hole, but listen, trying to this is just part of my upbringing when it comes to survival and navigating people, because I've dealt with a lot of terrible individuals even in the US. And just because I'm in the Philippines does not mean I'm going to give anyone grace. I don't care what all the Filipinos are so nice, they're so kind, they're so welcoming. I don't care. There's always terrible people. No matter where you go, there's going to be nice people, but on the other side, there's going to be really ugly and evil, awful people who target you, and it's all because of poverty. Obviously, people are all people rob people because of poverty. That's obvious, but damn.
This happened instantly. These boys, they encircled me on the sidewalk, right? They start doing this hand gesture that's very common. You'll run into here where they'll do this.
They target him because he's older. So they think, oh, he's older, he's white, he's rich, vulnerable, weak, can't run. That's why they targeted him. Just saying. I'm just saying. I'm just thinking in the mind of, like, being animalistic. If you really want to target someone, you would target someone who's old, doesn't look like they're in shape, and you know, it's a messed up thing. It's a messed up thing.
Food, 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 right? And one kind of started pushing up against my chest. The other two kind of came around the side of me. They started grabbing me, gesturing for this food. They were tugging on my clothes, all right? All while other people were walking around, right? Then
And the sad thing is, like, all the locals, they're just gonna ignore it. You're on your own. That's the sad thing is, you can say that, oh, they're welcoming, but nobody is going to help you. You could be getting robbed, being stabbed. The locals, they're just gonna be like going with about their everyday life. They're not gonna help you. They don't care. It's honestly kind of depressing that you think about it. You kind of have to be on your own, and you're always gonna be alone, and you don't have any friends. I'm just saying, from a survival mindset, when it comes to this kind of stuff is, anytime this stuff happens to you, nobody cares. Nobody cares. Now, we as foreigners might care because it's our own people, but when it comes to, the Filipinos, just in my opinion, I just don't think they care. That's why people don't help or intervene when you get ganged up on by gangs of teens. And it's such a messy story, man.
they started grabbing my arm, and I was just came from buying groceries, so my hands were full. So I put my hands up, all right, and one of them, now off to my left-hand side, he grabbed both my arm and my watch and started basically grabbing my watch, trying to pull it off my wrist. Now, like I said, I had just bought groceries, so I had a bag, my grocery bags in one hand. I had my phone. My phone was in my other hand because I was controlling the volume. I had my earbuds in, and all I can do was to shove them off of me, and I yelled as loud as I could, "Don't, no, get off of me!" And yes, there were other Filipinos around me. Now,
See, that's where you messed up. That's where you messed up. So, someone gave me advice a long time ago about earbuds and going out walking. You never want to have your hearing disrupted. You never want to have any kind of distractions, especially if both your hands are tied. Both your hands are tied. You got earbuds in. You're vulnerable. You're vulnerable. The only thing you can do is drop your load and fight people off. But I'm not saying that he could have done something better. I'm just saying that people look for the easiest target as possible when they have bad intentions, when they're hunting for someone to rob or assault or gang up on.
Now, no one stopped basically to do anything. Okay, security was nowhere to be found. Right, and everybody just kind of kept walking by, kind of ignoring what was going on. Right now, thankfully, these kids didn't get anything. Okay, after I pushed them off and stuff, they kind of jumped back. Right, but here's the thing: is they had no fear. Right, they popped back and they played this tough guy gesture, like, yeah, we're cool. Right, and they just basically joined the other people in the crowd and started kind of walking, kind of this arrogant, acting tough kind of behavior. All right, so there's no enforcement here. All right, and let me just stop right here and say this, because this kind of is a point I really want to kind of hammer home. Why are these kids allowed to openly grab and assault people in cities, right, like here in BGC? Is this really acceptable behavior? And it's not acceptable really anywhere, okay? Is this the image of the city that you want to present to investors, to business owners, and to retirees? If BGC is supposed to be this big, high-end, sophisticated city, why do you allow vagrants and panhandlers to sit on the sidewalks, shaking cups, harassing people when they walk by? And this is of all ages. I've had men, women, older, younger, everyone. It's starting to happen over here. Like I said, the last 6 months, more and more of this is coming in, all right, because it's being ignored daily. You go to this area, again, right where I put it on the map, on McKinley Parkway, right across the street from Surrendera, and you will always find some beggar there who's got a cup and yelling at people as they walk by, I'm hungry, feed me. That should not be allowed. And if you do, those of us who are here, either as tourists, as potential retires, are going to leave and not come back. Now, I did...
See, that's the thing about BGC. BGC is the place you go to get away from that. But the sad thing is, only so we have BGC, okay, and then we have the outskirts of BGC. The outskirts of BGC is where you got the slums and everything. So I noticed when I go to like some rooftops and there's like you can see the city lights and traffic and everything, and then when there's like no lights and it's just dark, you would think, oh, it's just greenery. No. When you look really closely, it's all just these, these small little houses, and I guess you could call them kind of slums or something, but that's the poor area. And I wouldn't advise any tourist to go walking through that area ever. But I have noticed when I started walking from my area where I live to BGC, I have to walk a little bit through that place, and I gotta say it's rough. It's really rough. But you have to stay vigilant, and you have to be very self-aware, and you can't walk around like, oh, I'm safe, because it isn't really safe. It's an illusion that you're safe, but when something actually happens, you're not safe. You're safe until something happens. But yes, it's honestly sad, and I feel for this guy that, he's wanting to retire here, invest, and we have all these high-priced... BGC is a big real estate bubble of all these condo units. Every time I deal with like some real estate agent, they're always trying to sell me out on some super expensive, overpriced condo. But like, you got this overpriced condo, but what about everything else? Because if you hear stories like this, being able to be assaulted and no one's going to protect you, or being robbed and no one's going to be able to protect you, then there's no point. Like, you want to raise a family? That's almost, you might as well go to Memphis, Tennessee. You might as well go to Memphis, Tennessee in the US. Not meaning to compare the two, but just saying.
Go looking for security, but there was no security guards around. I walked back as far back as the taxi station in Market in the circle there in Market. There was only one guard out in the street directing traffic, and this was 5:30 p.m. in the evening on a Thursday night. It wasn't a holiday.
Still
so
daytime.
You would expect people to be around. Fortunately, like I said, they didn't get anything, so I was like, all right, chalk it up for whatever it is. But then I walked back, heading in the direction where all this kind of happened. I was heading back towards SMR, and two Filipino men who were in the parking lot, and they were loading up their vehicle in the parking lot, saw what happened. They stopped me. They was like, "Hey, are you okay? We saw what happened. We saw everything. We looked for security." And they said they'd looked for the security themselves. They tried to find a security guard in the parking lot. No one was able to be located. So they checked in on me, and I got to be honest with you, right? I was very grateful these two gentlemen stuck around for a few minutes, were concerned, they spoke to me, and that's the Philippines I know. That's the Philippines that I have experienced all over this beautiful country, right? But for some reason, all right, there's something going on, and I can't put my finger on it, but there's something going on in the area that I'm in right now.
Corruption. But anyway, I will say that is when faith is restored, is when people come by, give you some reassurance, ask you how are you doing. I mean, it does make you. I mean, I can't make you feel better about that. So I'm glad that someone checked on him after that happened. Because I would honestly, if no one checked on me after that, I would just be angry the entire time, like, what the hell? But it can be a warm feeling that, that somebody mustered up the courage to ask you how you were doing or to check on you.
So beggars are more emboldened. That's just an absolute fact. Security does very little now other than just to push them along to the next block. All right, and that's something I've been seeing here that happens. All right, so it becomes the next security guard's problem, who's on that next block, right? And all these, and again, this is all ages. These are boys, girls, men, women, all these begging and panhandling. This is happening way more often. It's not just them parking themselves basically, outside base areas and stuff. They're actually roaming High Street, they're roaming Uptown, and a lot of areas like that. It is not uncommon now, if you are here as a Westerner, if you are out eating, all right, at a restaurant, all right, it is not uncommon for beggars to walk up to your table while you're in the middle of a meal, all right? If you're sitting there like in an outside venue or something, beggars will come up and interrupt you asking for food, money. They're going to try to sell you something, all right? And the thing is, now the restaurant, right? So whether it's a coffee shop,
man, in one of my videos in the past, that shit pissed me off one time, and I know exactly what he's talking about. But this didn't happen in BGC, but this happened in just like a very busy tourist city, in Makati. I'm sitting here eating a meal, and beggars keep coming up, doing this, and it's annoying. It's like, I'm trying to eat, leave me alone. Like, we don't come here to just be harassed by beggars. It's just like, and kids will walk up to you, just everybody walking up to you, trying to sell you something, and it's like, I'm trying to eat, I'm trying to, have a conversation with a friend, and it's just like, how is that peaceful? But I understand the frustration, because I would be honestly frustrated. No, not honestly frustrated. I do get frustrated. And it's even worse when it happens in BGC, which is the place where it's supposed to be nothing but wealthy people roaming around, where you have all these fancy Gucci shops, places with all these luxury watches. You got Starbucks. You have all of the high-end 5-star American prices everywhere, all these malls. It's supposed to be super luxurious, modernized city. But now you kind of just tainted it with this BS.
Restaurant, anything. It's getting so bad that the hostess, right, and the wait staff at the restaurants have to shoo off people multiple times a night. And again, like I said, this is happening all over Uptown, High Street, pretty much everywhere here in BGC. In fact, a buddy of mine, we were at a Mexican restaurant that's very popular up in Uptown, and we were there for about 3 hours on a Friday night, and this was a few weeks ago. And in those 3 hours, we had 4 different beggars come up, tapping on us, asking for money, and every time the hostess had to come, and we were kind of in a covered area, so it wasn't on the sidewalk, physically in a covered area in the restaurant, not too far from the bar, and the hostess had to keep coming and shooing them off. I don't know why this is becoming a problem, okay? Now, earlier I also mentioned...
It wasn't like this a few months ago, I'll tell you that. Because I haven't been to BGC, the last time I was in BGC was a month ago. when I was, meeting up with a friend to have some Thai food. But yeah, this is new. But to be honest, I'm going to say that's going to be the number one killer of some businesses, because if that's going to be something that's starting to be common, nobody's going to want to eat. To be honest, I don't even like going out to eat anymore to those outdoor places because of that. I had a favorite Korean place I used to like to eat at, and it got ruined by constant beggars interrupting me when I'm trying to eat. And man, I don't want to see these freaking hands when I have food right here, and they'd be so damn close. Like, dude, it's like they don't know what space is. It's I hate to be that guy, but dude, that shit pisses me off. It's like personal space. I'm eating. I don't know you. That's just like being at the cafeteria with a bunch of kids over here, waving their hands away around your food. It's like no common decency, man.
That there was a second assault. It's really the first one I had here. I thought it was a one-off, so I kind of, blew it off. But about 4 months ago, this was back in November, all right? Again, here on McKinley Parkway. Now, this is a different area. I've highlighted in yellow here. It's a little bit closer to my building, my condo building, Tryon Towers. This is where I had my first experience of actually with these teenage boys, and the same kind of tactic was used. There's a whole group of teenage boys.
Dude, that is the hot spot. That you know where that green is on that map? That's actually where that because there's a rooftop I used to go to all the time, and I would see overhead nothing but just those buildings. They look like slum buildings. But yes, that is where the rough side of BGC is. He is on the edge, on the outskirts of BGC. That's where all the beggars are. And it's honestly kind of sad, but oh man, I know there's gonna be some Filipinos in my comment section that's gonna say, if you don't like it, you can get the F out, and you foreigners are always complaining and blah blah. It's like, dude, can someone not share their personal experience? Is that not allowed? Can no one talk about their personal experience? No one should be going through this at all. Not even Filipino locals should be going through this. Nobody. I understand poverty, but still, nobody should be going through this ever.
Boys, these boys are a little bit older, probably in the 15, 16-year-old range. Same thing. They're all hanging out kind of by some trees and some grass. They saw me walking home with groceries. It was about 8 o'clock at night on a Sunday night. And again, I'm walking to my building, and these boys, again, popped out, surrounded me, started tugging at my pockets. I had my phone actually in my back pocket, which I usually don't carry it there, but because of groceries, I just put it there. And they're tagging it, and again, I had to do the same reaction: push them off, yell loudly, right? And and again, I had this kind of arrogant, tough guy response, like, "Oh yeah," they're laughing, taunting me, and it's ridiculous. It doesn't make for a comfortable lifestyle here. All right, so as I mentioned, this is becoming a problem, right? But why, right? For starters, let's put it this way. BGC is very public about foreigners, tourists, right, and other professionals here that have money. At least that's the projection that they put out there, right? And this will attract now bad people wanting to do bad things. I don't think this is coming from kind of the local areas. I think a lot of these beggars are coming in from outside areas. They're riding in on local public transportation, and they're just hitting BGC because in their minds, they're thinking, hey, that's where the money is. That's where I'm going to target and go. But this is a localized problem to this area. And what I believe is happening here is called the broken window theory. Okay, this is where a small signs of disorder, right, such as a broken window, or in this case, the increased amount of vagrants and beggars that basically are being allowed to roam freely in the city, creates an environment where bad behavior and crime can now take hold. So if you allow the little things, the big things are going to manifest, right? And again, you can sit there and go on Google, and you can look at some of the problems that have been happening, in various cities here in the Philippines, right? And they're very publicly well documented. And I think what's happening is you're getting basically people who are doing little things and getting away with it. So others see that, these younger kids, they see, teenagers running,
It's called repeated. I don't know if it's called repeated behavior or mimicking behavior, but yeah, that's basically what it is.
amok basically around, acting all tough. So the younger kids are like, okay, well, now I'm going to emulate that. I'm going to basically do the same thing. And everyone starts to escalate until something basically happens. And that's a big problem. All right. And I can say this also, this is not representative of the entire Philippines, but it is a problem here. All right. Like I said, I've traveled all over Luzon and I've always felt safe and comfortable. I just don't understand what's happening now, in some of these targeted areas. And I don't know, maybe it's just, I'm not going to speculate here, but again, I'm really not sure why this is going on, okay? My intention here in creating this video is to provide you with real world, boots on the ground experiences. And my goal here, like I said, is not to be disrespectful. It's not to disparage anyone or anything, put anybody down. I am just trying to live a simple and peaceful life. I do love my time in the Philippines. And yes, every place does have its challenges. However, unless somebody calls out what is bad along with what is good, then I am not doing my part by accurately providing you with informed information so that you can use that to make your own decisions on where you want to travel to and spend your money, okay? And if you want to lead this expat lifestyle and life abroad, you need to be informed about what is going on in specific areas. I am sad, honestly, that I've had.
Look, I know I'm gonna get so much hate for this video, but sadly, I don't care. Listen, everyone that travels here should have a nice experience. No one should be coming into your home and then having a terrible experience. Like, I know you're the host, but you're supposed to make sure your guest is safe, your guest is okay, and it's some backwards ass mentality if you think otherwise. But yeah, I honestly feel for this guy, man. But my honest advice for him would just be to move. To leave BGC. Don't ever fucking come back. Find somewhere else that's better, safer.
Had to make this video, and my hope here is that it reaches the correct ears and improvements can be made. Okay, my friends, let's go ahead and chat about this in the comment section. I would love to hear basically your inputs on this. Let me know if you've had any experiences yourself while traveling, and thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
All right, so we're at the end. Let me know what you think. If you like this video or not, give us a subscribe. I just want to say that during these times we got to be careful and vigilant, especially in some of these well-lit areas like BGC, because honestly, I don't know what's going on. I haven't encountered any more issues since the Intramuros problem, but I would expect something to happen in that area. But BGC, oh man. But tell me what you think in the comments. I'll see you on the next one.